Welcome, Greek U Nations, episode number 623 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our ninth book just came out. It's called From Letters to Leaders, The Legacy of Service. So I want everybody listening to go and pick up that book on Amazon today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, I have been bungee jumping and I absolutely love going on roller coasters. Any opportunity that I get, I will take it. There is a rush that we chase as speakers on stage when the audience just loves our message, and roller coasters and other similar activities will give me that similar rush. But speaking lasts a full hour. That's why I do it. It's just amazing and it is so much fun. And I know that our next guest loves a good thrill too. Tonya Comer is the winner of the 2024 Nautilus Gold Book Award for Business and Leadership for her book. It's called In High Heels on a Ladder, The 7 Power Tools for Designing Your Life. She has been named one of the top 20 African American interior designers in the United States. As a visionary who is bringing design to life, Tonya writes, speaks, coaches, leads, designs, and loves. And when she isn't doing all of that, she lives life out loud as an adventure seeking, roller coaster loving, jump out of the plane first spirit. Welcome to the show, Tonya.
It is so great to be here with you. And I love that we have those two things at least in common, roller coasters and bungee jumping. It's so nice to be with you.
I bet that we have a lot more in common than that. I'm willing
I'm
to
sure we do.
bet the house on it. But hey, listen, it's great to have you on the show. And I have to tell you, your story when I read it is just so extraordinary. I mean, you came from the projects of Pittsburgh to becoming one of the top 20 African American interior designers in the entire country. So I'm wondering, can you share with our audience some early defining moments that shaped your ambition and your resilience?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for that question. So I'll start, before I talk about the ambition and resilience, I'm just going to give a little context to the backdrop of that story, which is I was born into homelessness. My mother had no place to take me to after she gave birth to me in the hospital. Um, and eventually someone saw my mother crying on a park bench and guided my mom to a place where she could get find government housing for us. And I grew up in a government housing project in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I don't know my father. I was abused as a child. I was bullied as a child. I experienced what we call colorism in my community of mostly dark-skinned Black folks. My fair skin did not fit in. And it was a combination of all of these things that had me make a decision about my life, my worth, my sense of belonging, that I don't matter. Made that decision up about myself. So interestingly enough, I lived my life as a girl and then a woman who believed that I didn't matter, and had major impacts on my entire life, which I know we're going to talk about today, Michael.
Mm.
When I was 11 years old, though, there was a breakthrough. My mom and I were invited to a white family's home in the suburbs of Pittsburgh. I had never been to the suburbs. I had never been in the home of a white family. And I had the most remarkable experience. We drove up this driveway that seemed like it was, 4 city blocks long. This house looked to me like a mansion at 11 years old. And even the drive to get there felt like we had driven across country. And so when I walked into the home of this family, Bob and Betty, I was blown away. I know now that it's a Center Hall colonial home. There was this huge huge Christmas tree with all these little porcelain ornaments. And all of the decorations matched so perfectly in the standard Christmas colors of red and green. And this experience changed my life, because for for the one time in my life, I actually saw that there are haves and there are have-nots. So I had this experience already that I didn't matter. Now I see myself as someone who is a have-not. And so it became part of the resilience story, though. So you asked about my ambition and resilience.
Yeah.
It actually set in motion for me this notion that there is a world outside that I have never seen before until this moment that is so much bigger than me. And I want to learn how to fit in it. And so, Michael, what I did was I started asking questions on this night as 11 years old. I'm like, well, what does Bob do for a living? Who is Bob? What does he do for a living? I only know Bob as the man from church. And they said, Bob is a lawyer. Wow, what does Betty do for a living? Betty stays at home and cares for the kids. And I said, so Bob earned all of this? Yeah. Well, that was the light bulb moment, Michael. I want to be a lawyer. And at age 11, I set in motion trajectory for myself to find my way to learn and study and learn law. Well, I did. I actually, by high school, I found a high school that had a law and public service magnet program. So in high school, I was studying law. And by age 16, I was working for a law firm after school. So I did exactly what I wanted to do. Now, I learned, Michael, that I did not have an interest in law, actually. But I learned that because I didn't enjoy the law classes. I didn't enjoy arguing cases. I didn't enjoy working at the law firm. I didn't get to express my creativity in that area. But what it did was help me see that I could set a goal and achieve it. And that's where the ambition and resilience showed up in my life.
I love it. I love it. That's just an incredible story. I felt like we were walking together into that house. That was very cool. But I mean, you've overcome so much. I mean, it's not just the poverty, it's the abuse, it's the bullying that you kind of hinted at in terms of the colorism and things like that, and just deep shame in your life. So I'm wondering how did you move from really just surviving? I mean, that's really what you were doing initially early on in your life to now truly thriving.
Yeah. It started with what I just shared about, recognizing that I could set a goal and achieve it.
Hmm.
That was huge
Hmm.
because I knew that there was this fire burning inside of me, Michael, to do something. I was always a very socially aware, socially conscious child. I cared for people. I loved to do good. My mom is also very generous, and we volunteered for the local community senior center, and we would help the seniors go grocery shopping or do these things. And this is something that is a part of who I am and who I saw myself as a young girl. There was a fire burning inside of me, knowing that there's more. And when I got to see that there's a world out there that's bigger than me, that I could actually try to find a place in, that became the ultimate, um, created the ultimate trajectory for me to surviving and start thriving, knowing that there's a goal that I have, knowing that there's opportunities and a dream that I have and opportunities that follow that dream. That's where it started for me.
Hmm. That's really
Yeah.
helpful. And social media is such a powerful thing with college students today. And I think there's a lot of pressure to have everything all together in your life, even though the truth is they're actually struggling privately. So, what would you say to the students who are listening right now who are essentially wearing this mask of perfection that they're portraying on the outside on social media, that everything about their life is perfect, but the reality is they're struggling? What would you say?
Oh, man, that's really powerful. Well, I'm going to relate it to me because I hope that your listeners will see themselves through my story in order to be able to relate and connect what I would love to give as a gift today to them. So I'm just going to go back to what I said about I felt that I didn't matter. That was actually a decision that I made about my worth in my life. Now, that decision is the place where I hold shame. Still as an adult, it's a place where I hold shame. And shame is this idea of not belonging, this feeling that we don't belong in the world around us. And so we attach a belief system about who we think we are and are not in the world. And then that becomes a trigger point for us in life. Now, this relates to your question, Michael, because we wear the mask to conceal the thing we're most shameful of. And it's usually the decision that we made for about ourselves where we feel we belong and where we feel we don't belong in the world. So for some people, they may feel like I did, I don't matter. Someone may feel like I'm unlovable. Someone may feel like I'm unwanted or I will be abandoned. Another person might feel powerless. Another person might feel like they are too much. Another person might feel like I am not enough. I am not enough. That's different than good enough. Not enough is profound sense of nothingness. And so those are some of the common things that we hold on to. And so we're wearing this mask to conceal the shame. And the reason why we want to show up as perfect is because we don't want anyone to have, in any way, shape, or form, to question the mask that we're wearing. So we attempt to show up in the world as if we're perfect. And the fear that we're holding on to is if I drop my mask, someone's going to realize that I have been perpetrating the lie and everything I've believed about myself is actually true. And those two things are our nemesis. We are amazingly afraid of that. And so it's the fear of not belonging that has us wear the mask. And it's when we are willing to drop this mask and we actually reveal who we are, that's when we don't need to be perfect. We only need to show up as our authentic selves.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that's what brings people in. None of us are perfect, right? And so as a speaker, if I can go up there and be vulnerable up on stage and talk about my imperfections, then suddenly I'm giving permission to everybody in the audience to say, "Wow, like that's really brave to share that." And then everybody comes in with me. And then they can embrace their imperfections as well. So, what are some simple, practical strategies that the students listening can use today if they have these feelings of self-doubt or they just want to claim their confidence?
Yes. So I'm going to offer 3 strategies.
Right?
And because this is deeply personal to me, I am going to start with the shame circumstance, which is it really does help as the step number 1 to understand your origin pain or that shame belief system that you hold. And it's important because it's not until you understand what is the conversation or you're having about yourself in this sense of feeling like you need to belong that conflicts with the sense of feeling like you don't belong. Understanding what is the shame story that you hold. I don't matter. I am not enough. I am unlovable. If we can get to the root of that, you can actually find peace. That's step number 1. Step number 2, know that the shame story that you just acknowledged is actually all made up. You made it up. It's not the truth. And then number 3, trust yourself. Know that if you made up this shame story, you can actually make up another story. You can rewrite that story. And I think those are the three most important steps. They may not be the simple and practical ones that you asked for, Michael, but they are definitely the three most important strategies, I believe, to overcoming self-doubt.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And you mentioned before authenticity, and you say that authenticity is a leader's secret weapon. I'm wondering, what does that look like? What does authenticity look like for a college student who is navigating a leadership role in their organization?
Mm. So authenticity to me is acting, thinking, leading, believing, not to prove something, but to be something, to be more of who you are. That's what authenticity means to me.
Now, right now, I would say that college students, they really believe in this idea of having a ton of side hustles, and this whole hustle culture is kind of like taking over where, we have to be working 24 by 7. But the reality is all the college students that I see, and I interact with them on a weekly basis, they're exhausted. They're not sleeping enough. I'll tell you straight out, they're just not sleeping enough. And they're just overworked and overextended, in my opinion. I think they're just taking on too much. And you challenge the idea of hustle culture. So, what is the biggest myth that college students believe about working hard and success? And what should we really be replacing that with?
Ah, love this question. Oh, so the myth is the more you do, the more you gain. So the more you do, the more you win. The more you do, the more you succeed. The more you do, the more you land on top. And it's actually the opposite. Now, don't get me wrong, Michael. I am not saying to you or to your audience that this is that we can't excel, that we can't succeed, that we shouldn't succeed, we shouldn't strive, we shouldn't want to win, we shouldn't want to have success, we shouldn't want to have monetary success. I'm not saying that at all. But the myth is the more you do, the more you gain. And actually, the more you do, the more you deplete. The more you do, the more you lose sight. The more you do, the more disconnected you feel. The more you do, the more lonely you are. It's actually the opposite.
Mm, wow, that's definitely something for us to think about. Let's talk a little bit about your book. It's called In High Heels on a Ladder and won that 2024 Nautilus Gold Award for business and leadership. What inspired you to turn your life story into a framework for other people?
Hmm. So as I hit rock bottom at the top of my career, Michael. So when I was named one of the top 20 African American interior designers in the country, I did not believe that I was deserving of that honor. And the circumstances in my life sort of supported it. And it was all self-sabotage, all of it, because I believed I wasn't important enough, that I didn't matter. So when I earned this title, I sabotaged all of my success and I hit rock bottom. And as I rebuilt my life, I learned what I'm sharing with you today. I learned about shame. I learned about the sense of belonging. I learned about what it takes to create a thriving life. I learned what it takes to rebuild life. I learned what leadership really looks like. I learned what the hustle did in terms of causing my burnout and my fall. I learned about self-sabotage. It was impossible for me to have learned all of that and then kept it all to myself. So I chose to write about it. I felt it was too good to keep to myself. I want to share because I want others to be able to perhaps erase. I was 42 when I hit rock bottom, Michael. So I wanted to, maybe I can help someone earlier in their life so that they don't hit that fall in their prime. Maybe I can help someone cause a transformation so that they can cause a transformation for someone else, so that this ripple effect can spread around the world of healing from pain and trauma and shame, self-doubt and lack of confidence. Maybe I can inspire a young woman or a young man early in his life to lead authentically so that we could change the way we run worlds or run companies. I couldn't keep it to myself.
Well, we need more of all of that in this world today. I think we agree on that, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, we could go on and on about all the terrible things that are happening at the moment. But you created something that's really interesting to me. It's called the RISE method, and that includes reveal, release, rebirth, reclaim, and rise. Can you walk us through this method and how it would help a college student who feels burnt out right now?
Absolutely. It is, I alluded to it already several times throughout the interview, and I'm glad you asked me in the shape of framework what it looks like, because it allows me to echo what I've shared and provide concrete structure for it. So reveal is actually identifying the origin pain that we talked about, that sense of lack of belonging, that place where we're holding our shame. And so there's a process that I guide people through, as now I am a life coach and I am guiding people on a healing journey, because ultimately I want to see the world shape leadership so that we can construct a place where um, where we have healthy gains, healthy wins, healthy society that can procreate itself moving forward. So I want to cause this ripple, as I mentioned. So I guide folks through this process of identifying the original pain and then choosing to write a new view of it. Because it is just the original pain starts for me. My original pain started throughout all of these incidences I shared with you as I was a child, being homeless, being fatherless, being abused, living in the projects, feeling like I don't, being bullied. And it was the incident in third grade where I was bullied by the popular girls in school was when I solidified in my brain that I don't matter. This third grade cafeteria is lodged, image of it, the smell of it, the look of it, the color, the mood, the temperature is lodged in my brain as a trigger point for trauma for me. And so I made the decision when the girls bullied me that I didn't matter. Now, of course, it was all these other things that were happening beforehand, but that one moment is when I made the declaration and convinced myself it was true. And so I can't change the circumstances of the cafeteria. Can't change the way it looked, it smelled. I can't change what the girl said and did, but I can change my view of it. And so reveal, step one, is acknowledging the shame and then changing your view. Release is forgiveness. In my case, I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive the girls. I had to forgive my absentee father. I had to forgive family members who abused. I had to forgive, right? So there's this process of forgiveness that allows us to release the pain that we hold on from the shame moment. Rebirth. Rebirth is about defining the dream. Now, it seems hard to go from forgiveness to dreaming, but let me tell you what this is. Forgiveness opens up space. It is so interesting how not forgiving contains us. It keeps us small. It keeps us constricted, and restrained. But when we forgive, there's space that opens up around us. It's physical, emotional, mental space that opens up, and it expands our creativity. And so when we put ourselves in a place of rebirth, we're now able to dream of a new life for ourselves, dream of ourselves, seeing ourselves in what becomes an authentic place for us. Oftentimes, our dreams are restricted because we believe I don't matter. So how can I have that dream? So therefore, I don't dream as big as I want to dream, right?
Mhm.
Then we have reclaim. Reclaim is once you can dream, then you can actually begin to see the person you are becoming to fulfill the dream. They go together. And then rise is the last step in this framework that we're discussing. And rise is when when you've acknowledged the shame, rewrote the story, forgiven, created a dream, found your purpose, understand who you are becoming, you can now rise as your authentic self. Drop the mask, know who you are in the world, and move your life in the direction of your authenticity. That's the method.
Beautifully, beautifully done. Really, really well done. I love that rise method. I think it's fantastic, and I love that you're talking about dreaming in that process. I think we need to do a little bit more of that. And as leaders, I think we need to ask the people in our organization what is their dream,
Mm,
because ultimately, they are going to support what they help to build. But if you don't even know what it is that they're dreaming about, and what success looks like to them, then how in the world are you going to motivate them? Like, how are you going to do that? You never ask them what their dream is, right?
right,
So
right.
I think for leaders, I think that's a really, really important exercise you can do with your organization tomorrow at your next meeting is just go around the room and ask them what their dream is for the organization and write down who said what. And that becomes your blueprint in terms of how you're going to lead them going forward. Because again, they are going to support what they help to build, but you got to ask them what their dream is. So
Love
really good
that.
stuff. I love it. The other
I
thing
love
that's
that too.
important, yeah, the other thing that's important, I think, for college students is relationships. I've been able to get to this point because of my network. Nobody gets to build multi-million dollar companies by themselves, okay? It just doesn't happen. We have to depend on other people to help us along the way and to help grow something together. And it all hinges on relationships, right? I mean, when I have lunch today, I am depending on a farmer going out and harvesting that vegetable. I didn't grow that vegetable. I'm gonna eat it, but I didn't grow it. We're all depend on each other and relationships. So you talk about the hidden dynamics that actually end relationships. So what are some of those blind spots that college students may have in their friendships, maybe even romantic relationships, and how can they start to shift these relationships?
Oh, wow. Wow. First, yes, thank you for sharing all of that. I'm really grateful for um, the connection we have here, Michael, to understand and relate to, first of all, the power of dreaming and then the importance of relationships. Um, so I'm going to boil this down to one really powerful nugget. And the way that the dynamic that impacts our relationships most is the thing I've been talking to you about since you asked me my first question. And that is the shame origin story that we hold on to. So just imagine if, I'll use myself, if I believe I don't matter, if I believe I'm unimportant, and I'm having conflict in my romantic relationship or a relationship with a friend, you can almost bet, almost guarantee that one of my complaints is that I'm not important to them. I feel I don't matter to them. I feel like I'm not measuring up in their world in some way, right? So let's map this onto maybe someone in your audience, Michael. If someone feels they're unlovable, you can almost guess that their complaint about a friend or a romantic partner, family member, they don't love me. They don't show up for me, right? If someone feels they're unwanted, this one is a harder one to articulate, the unwanted one, because these are the folks who feel that they will be abandoned. So they don't always say that person will leave me. They think it. But the actions are usually to do something to evade for this person. They do something to evade having connection. They do something to evade being committed. They do something to evade having sense of purpose inside their relationships. And so for those folks, it's less what they say and it's more what they do because they have a hard time acknowledging I'm I feel like you're going to leave me.
Mhm.
Usually they'll run first. And so it's the shame story that is always intertwined in conflict, the sense of feeling disconnected, sense of loneliness, the the sense of retraction in any person.
Mm. Well, I tell you what, Tanya, you matter to me and you matter to our audience. So I'll tell you that
Thank
straight
you.
up. The other thing that I've noticed about college students right now is they're feeling a lot of pressure to choose the right career path. They're always kind of looking over the fence, saying, is my friend actually on the right path? Maybe I should get onto that path and get off of the path that I'm on because that might be the right one. So they're always comparing to where they are relative to their friends and other contacts to determine if they're really on the right path and always questioning that. So, what advice do you have for those who are trying to design a life for themselves, not just chase a job?
Mm. Wow, this is really powerful. I have quite a few college students in my life, quite a few, and I see this firsthand. And I think a lot, you mentioned this earlier about social media, there is a lot of pressure socially to show up a certain way in order to. There was an expression back in my day that probably, I don't know if this applies, but we used to say keeping up with the Joneses, like this notion, this idea that we have to do what our neighbor is doing or our friend is doing. And so this really touches my heart, this question, Michael, because it brings me such sadness to see how we've lost our individuality. And what I would recommend for your audience is this is, again, it goes back to your other question when you said it, what are simple, practical steps? This isn't a simple one. It is the most important one. And that is identify your authentic voice, your authentic life, your divine purpose. Identify what that is and allow that to be your guide. And so to do that, it really is about following that RISE method I talked about, releasing the shame, rewriting your story, finding forgiveness, finding a dream, seeing who you are becoming in the world and being willing to own that authenticity. That's so important. It's not simple, Michael.
Yeah.
It's work and it's effort, but it is worth every bit of it.
Yeah, it's so interesting, right? It's kind of counterintuitive in a way because I remember, like, for me, when I first got onto social media, whether it be Instagram or TikTok, you try to be a certain person that you think
Right.
is going to be successful and well liked. We all want to be well liked, by the way. And
Yep.
then it wasn't until I started showing up in an authentic way of who I really am did the
Yep.
account start to really take off. I mean, like
Yep.
jet fuel, right? So you have to be your authentic self with all of those little quirks and all of those little things that make you you, right? And when you do that, then suddenly things are really going to start to take off in your life in terms of your career and designing the life that you were destined to live. And every single day, I feel like I was put on this earth to do this work to help college students not only with their jobs and their careers, but also while they're in college to make a difference in our community. Giving back, I think, is our responsibility and to help other people up. I think
Mhm.
helping others is really, that's what life is all about. But it
Mhm.
wasn't until later in life that I discovered that. But it is embracing that authentic self that ultimately is going to get all of us to where we need to be. So
Sure.
well done. Really, really good stuff. I've enjoyed this interview. And, we do love really good food here. And so I was wondering, when you're in Philly, where do you go for a great meal? Because I do get to Philly pretty often.
Oh, geez. I love food too. I choose to live with a diet that supports and endorses a certain, my preferred way of living. So I have restrictions in my diet, but I still eat really great food. And so couple of places that come to mind. Amada, which is a tapas restaurant.
Hmm.
It is incredible. So I highly recommend Amada. There's two locations in Philly. There may be three. I know of two.
Yeah.
And it is to me just top-notch Spanish style tapas with a modern flair. And then the second place I can think of is a restaurant called Honeysuckle. It's a fusion of um, sort of like an African origin of food that's been modernized and then explored through all the places where African food has transformed. So it's like African food meets Haiti, meets Cuba, meets Puerto Rico, meets America, all on a plate. And it is just incredibly delicious, every bite. And it's all farm to table um, and made with love. So I highly recommend that restaurant also.
That sounds absolutely delicious. I will meet you there anytime because that sounds absolutely extraordinary. So really great stuff. All right. So if our listeners, if they want to go and pick up your book, it's called In High Heels on a Ladder, The Seven Power Tools for Designing Your Life. Where should they go in order to pick up the book and connect with you?
Yes, here's
Oh, it's beautiful.
a
Love
cover
that
of it.
cover, by the way. I just think it's just exquisite.
Thank,
Kudos to the
thank you, thank
photographer.
you.
Well done.
Yes. Yes, my book is available anywhere books are sold. So it's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Goodreads. You can find it online and globally, almost any place where you can buy a book. Target, Walmart, and then online globally. I was in a bookstore in South Africa and saw it there.
So cool.
And I have received comments and letters from people in London who have read the book, and so it's available globally.
That's fantastic. All right, so you can
Yeah,
pick it up anywhere. Go to your nearest bookstore and you will pick up her book. It's called In High Heels on a Ladder, The Seven Power Tools for Designing Your Life. As soon as you see the front cover, I guarantee you, you're going to pick it up and start reading it because it is just fantastic. So, Tanya, thank you so much
absolutely.
for being on our show
Thank
today,
you.
sharing all of this. We really appreciate it.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for your time, for your graciousness. And I really hope that I sincerely contribute something great that's going to make a difference for your audience. It's all
100%.
about the ripple, Michael.
Yes, you have helped them today. So thank you so much. And to our listeners, we do hope that you enjoyed the interview today. If you learned something today, please share this episode with your chapter or your friends in a group chat, or maybe just share it on social media. You never know who is going to need this message today. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you on the next episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Bye for now.